open and raped her, was hidden in the shadows. She tried to make out his features. She knew it would be important when she was interviewed by police to tell them as much about the man as possible. But all she saw was a silhouette. He climbed inside. Was he going to rape her again? She hoped not. She didn't think she could take any more pain. She crawled further into the corner of the van, but there was nowhere else for her to go. She was trapped. He grabbed her. His meaty hands gripped the front of her blazer and dragged her towards him. She tried to resist, but it was no use. "Please, no!" she cried. She fumbled around for something to hold on to keep her in the relative safety of the van, but there was nothing there. She fell onto the cold concrete of the ground. A strong wind was blowing and it was sleeting. She was pulled up off the pavement and swung around. The man had his left arm around her chest. She could feel his heart beating rapidly against her. She saw what he was holding in his raised right hand, and her legs buckled beneath her. If he hadn't been holding her so tightly, she would have fallen. It was a knife. The sodium yellow from the street lamps glistened against the sharp stainless steel. It wasn't an ordinary knife. It was a horror film knife. She'd seen the whole of the Scream series. She knew the damage something like that could do. Tilly thought of her mum again. There was only a week until Christmas. Her mother was so happy. They always had a wonderful time, just the two of them. Her mum tried to come across as a strong woman, but with the amount of grief she'd had to cope with over the years, she was close to losing it completely. Her daughter being raped and murdered would surely tip her over the edge. The thought of her mother suffering the aftermath of losing her only child to a violent rapist and killer made her cry. Her poor mum. "Mum!" Tilly cried out loud. The word barely left her lips. "Please, no, don't do this, please, I'll do anything," she pleaded through the tears. "Let me go, please. I haven't seen you, I swear. Please." She felt the knife slice across her neck. Strangely, it didn't feel as painful as when she was raped. Her body began to relax, as if it had already died, yet she could see what was going on around her. She felt the warmth of the blood flow from her neck down her exposed chest. It was the warmest she'd felt in hours. She tried to speak, but when she opened her mouth, nothing came out. If this was what death was like, it wasn't as bad as she'd expected it to be. She was lifted up, but Tilly had no idea who by or what was happening. Was this God lifting her up to heaven? No, that was ridiculous. She felt light, and the pain seemed to be drifting away. Suddenly the pain was back with a thud, and she was rolling. She closed her eyes tightly shut as rocks and branches hit her face and pulled at her skin. She hit something heavy and stopped. Tilly didn't dare open her eyes. She didn't want to see where she'd ended up. Was it heaven or hell? Her breathing was ragged and short, and she tried to calm herself. There was a sound. It was the engine of the van starting up. She braved herself to open her eyes, looked up, and saw the bright lights of the van fade away. It was going. She'd been dumped, and she was still alive, wasn't she? She looked around in the darkness and could make out bare trees and an uneven ground. She was in woods somewhere. How close was she to home? Could she walk it? She put her hand to her throat. She could feel blood flowing. Jesus Christ, she was losing so much blood. Tilly wasn't proficient in first aid, but she'd seen enough episodes of Casualty and Grey's Anatomy to know that you had to stem the flow of blood until help arrived. She struggled out of her blazer, balled it up, and pressed it firmly against her throat. Her phone had fallen out of the pocket and landed beside her. She picked it up, unlocked it, and cried at the smiling face of her boyfriend looking back at her. She could feel herself weakening as death came for her. She was in a race against time. With blood-soaked, shaking fingers, she held down the side button and one of the volume buttons on the